Self-gaslighting. What is it? Why? Self-gaslighting is the process of constantly questioning everything that we think, say, do, feel, and pretty much how we experience the world around us. When we've experienced gaslighting in a relationship, whether it be our early caregivers like our parents or a romantic relationship, we often pick up right where they left off. Even after we're no longer in that relationship, it becomes our internal dialogue. But maybe we haven't experienced blatant external gaslighting and abuse in our lives, in our relationships, or had super abusive parents, but we still do it. So what the fuck? So today's topic is actually going to be split up into two videos. Part one, in this video, we're going to be looking at how we internalize gaslighting from an abusive relationship. We're going to be looking at 6 very specific strategic ways that we can help get rid of this self-gaslighting bullshit we're putting ourselves through. Okay, so stay tuned. And part 2, next week, we're going to explore how if we didn't experience these abusive types of relationships and these kinds of traumas, how we can still self-gaslight. While the fuck we do it, and what you do about it. But first, part 1. Cue music.
Potty, she talking naughty. Here to help your trouble, she don't judge nobody. Even if you're not at your top and it's a lie, she try to make you see a different train of thought.
Welcome back to my channel. I am the Potty Mouth Guru, and my mission is to help you learn how to unfuck yourself one video at a time. Okay, self-gaslighting. Here we go. Here's what it can sound like. Maybe it wasn't that bad. Maybe it really is all my fault. No, it's my fault. I should be over this by now. If I was stronger, I'd be past this. You know what? I am too weak to not let this fuck up the rest of my life. I should be over this by now. What the fuck is wrong with me? I'm being too sensitive. I'm being overly emotional. I'm probably just overreacting. Sound familiar? When we had parents who gaslit us, or when we were in relationships where there was like a fuck ton of gaslighting, but we're out of those relationships now, maybe it's even been a fair bit of time. Maybe we've done some therapy or read some relevant books, but we still struggle with gaslighting inside of us. What in the fuck? We end up in this internal battle where one of us understands and knows exactly what we went through. We know that it was wrong. We know that it was abusive and toxic and harmful and hurtful. We know that we were not to blame for that shit, that we weren't deserving of it. We have this wise, connected guru inside of us that knows this shit. And then there's another part of us that still believes the lies of the gaslighter and questions our reality and worth. This is the wounded and abandoned inner child that doesn't know better yet. It makes sense. It's so easy to question wounds that we don't see with our eyeballs. It's easy to question our past experiences when we still experience joy and laughter alongside our unhealed trauma. It also makes it fucking easy to wonder if we deserve to experience joy or to be able to revel in our accomplishments, that we even deserve our accomplishments. Then there are those people around us that end up aiding in us staying confused as fuck. There might be people who don't believe your experiences, that think you're being dramatic or an attention whore, or some that might have even taken the gaslighter's side. And then on the flip side, there are people that totally believe you and support you from the bottom of their hearts. They love you. They know what the fuck happened to you was wrong. They helped you get out of that situation. They've been trying to help support you and help you grow and heal. And each of these groups feeds into the split narrative that we have that's causing this soul-crushing ambivalence. The struggle is real, motherfuckers. Okay, so what do we do now? Well, we can't go back in time. We can't change the fact that we had this experience, but we can take our power back and we can be responsible for our own healing. We can make that shit happen. So first of all, okay, listen up. Stop making yourself responsible for the traumas that you've experienced in your life, whether you were a child or whether you experienced it as an adult. You are not to blame. Okay? Remember, we always do the best that we can with the knowledge that we have. And knowing something intellectually is different than knowing something in your body. we will always revert back to our knee jerks when we're vulnerable, when our filters are low, even if you know better. Let me give you an example. In the 70s, they did these experiments. They were studying trauma, and they had two groups of rats. One group had everything that they needed, food and water and comfort and love and all the things they could need to thrive. The other group didn't have those things. They didn't have enough food and water and all of the stuff that might make them feel comfortable. Then they took those two groups of rats and put them into a shared space, and they presented these rats with a threat. What did they do? They all ran home. Even though the rats who came from the shitty environment had the option to run back to that really nice environment with all the things and they had all that they need, they didn't do that. They ran home. They ran back to what they knew, because that was safer than what the fuck was being presented to them as a threat. We do that. We do that when we go back into abusive relationships, when we start the same kinds of relationships and the abuse is the same. We do this with behaviors and emotional patterns. This is what we know, so this is what we do. And until we heal old shit and replace those shitty thoughts, feelings, and behaviors that don't serve us with healthier, more appropriate stuff, we will still do what we know. And it's not because we're stupid or incapable or a lost cause. It's because that's what our brains and our nervous systems are programmed to do, like them rats. So we have established that we are not responsible for the traumas that we've experienced. We are responsible for healing the wounds that have been left over. So how the fuck do we stop gaslighting ourselves? Number one, first we need to become conscious that we're even doing it. And I get it might be hard. It's hard to own if we're doing something that's harming ourselves. But we have to remember that thing about it's not that we're stupid or inept or that there's nothing wrong with us. Abusive relationships in nature are designed to strip us of our self-worth. So we really need to understand that these thoughts that are causing these feelings are lies. Like how I talk about ants, automatic negative thoughts. Ants are lies. And we have to understand that these thoughts don't even belong to us. They belong to the gaslighter, who is living in their own truth, their own reality. So, become conscious that we are self-gaslighting. Step 2, here comes the journal. Here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna write down the phrases that you're telling yourself. You have an ongoing journal entry where you're gonna write this shit down. So anytime you catch yourself thinking a thing that sounds familiar, that sounds like something that the gaslighter used to tell you, you're gonna write it down. This is gonna help you get clear with the narrative that's hijacked your brain. Then you can start doing work to unravel and detangle these thoughts and abusive beliefs from your reality. Step 3. The next step is to identify how your thought sounds like what they used to say to you. So for example, maybe you blame yourself for fucking everything ever. And the thought is, it's always my fault. The gaslighter might have continually said, you started it. This is all your fault. Sound familiar? Because it is. Step 4. Now here's where you reframe that statement into something that is way more fucking accurate. Like this. It's impossible for everything to always be only my fault. And someone who is trying to blame me and hold me responsible for literally everything ever doesn't make it true. Now, which one sounds more accurate? Now, the goal with this is to do this with every single self-gaslighting phrase that you have, that you tell yourself. Number 5. Now it's time to start working on a new habit. Validation! Remember, no matter how much you have internalized this gaslighting and actually believe that it's your truth, it's not your truth. I'm gonna say it again. It's not your truth. This is the motherfucker's truth. So start to incorporate these types of affirmations. Something like the following. So like when you catch yourself saying something self-gaslighty, this is not my truth. When you're having an emotional experience, my emotions are valid and I have a right to express them. When we have the urge to cry, for example, but learned somewhere along the lines that it's not safe to cry because we were shamed or abused for it. So remember that this might not be the case anymore. This might not be your current reality anymore. So giving ourselves permission to express our feelings, along with telling ourselves that it's safe to do so is what we want to start practicing. It is safe to cry, or I am safe to cry. Number 6. And finally, we need to learn how to ground ourselves. Having gone through abuse and gaslighting and then continuing that self-abuse is exhausting and throws us the fuck off kilter all the time. We have like a permanently dysregulated nervous system. We're battling our inner critic. We fucking don't trust ourselves. We can't make decisions. We doubt our lovability or self-worth. We're always seeking external validation because we don't trust ourselves. We self-sabotage the fuck all over the place. I mean, I'm like exhausted and anxious just thinking about it. So we need to ground to help us actually connect to our emotions and get back to some semblance of reality. How? I shall tell you. First of all, if you can, find a good therapist, somebody who is trauma-informed, who can help you become more aware of the ways that you self-gaslight yourself, the things that you say to yourself, that can tell you where your thinking might be distorted. This can be a safe place to start exploring your emotions and expressing your emotions and doing it in a non-judgmental, super empathetic environment. Meditation. Okay. Meditation. Slow down, do guided stuff if you don't feel comfortable or safe yet doing silent stuff. There's tons of awesome guided meditations available on YouTube. I will link some below in the description box for you, some of my favorites. Mindfulness exercises. So for example, going for a walk in the woods or in the park. Being in nature and like super hyper aware of your senses. So what do you smell? What do you see? What do you hear? Take notice of the things that you see. Just become super hyper aware of your senses. Dance. Get out that anxious energy. Get some healthy, wicked endorphins flowing through your body. Shift your headspace. Find joy. Yoga. Some nice restorative or yin yoga. Feel your body. Feel the ground. Become aware of the kinks and inner functionings and sounds of the insides of your body. Have you noticed that all these things are like get into your body somatic things? There is method to the madness, you see. We need to get the fuck out of our heads because our heads are very oftentimes filled with distortion after these kinds of scenarios that we've lived through, whereas our bodies carry all the motherfucking truth. And in that truth lies freedom and healing and release and the things. Work on this stuff in micro ways. Set micro goals. Pick any of these practices and set aside 2 minutes a day to start. And slowly work your way up. As shit as the abuse was, as shit as you might still feel right now, know that you don't have to continue to feel this way, that you can work through this stuff and get to living the life that you truly deserve, because you do. No matter what the fuck that motherfucker said to you, you deserve goodness and joy and laughter and acceptance and fun and unconditional love. It all starts with you, Guru. Thanks so much for tuning in. I hope that you found this video helpful, and if you did, please hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, share this with someone you think this might be of value to, and I will see you next week when we continue to look at self-gaslighting. Stay tuned, it's gonna be good. Anyways, that's it for now. Peace out, yo. Bye.